they'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
to another video on the West Ham Network channel. Of course, my name is Harry, and as you can see by the title today, we're going to be talking about how I think David Moyes will set up his side against Man City on the opening Premier League game of the season at the London Stadium. Before the video starts, I do apologise if I do sound a bit bunged up. I have a slight cold that does not want to budge, but we move on anyways. West Ham's Premier League campaign starts off against Manchester City, which, if we're being completely honest, is probably the worst way to start the season. However, I think the times of City coming to London Stadium knocking 4 past us are long gone. Well, I hope anyways. This new look West Ham side will look to put up a fight against the Premier League champions, and will look to show real intent to the rest of the league by beating the champions on the opening game of the season. If we look back to the last time we played City at home, we go back to the last home game of the season on the 15th of May 2021. Although this day was all about Mark Noble for many West Ham fans, West Ham put up a hell of a performance, and in my opinion, should have got a win. If I think back to the game, West Ham were all over Man City in the first half anyways, and we even should have added some more goals, with missed chances from Bowen and Antonio. City did come back to their normal selves in the second half with 2 goals, even though West Ham still looked dangerous on the break, and of course if it wasn't for Fabianski saving a very questionable penalty decision from Anthony Taylor, we would have inevitably lost the game. If we look at how both teams set up for this game, West Ham set up within their favoured 4-2-3-1 formation, with a defence of Fabianski in goal, Krez left back, Dawson Zuma at centre back, and Kufal at right back. In the midfield pivot we had Declan Rice and Thomas Soucek, with Lanzini in the number 10 position in front of them, with Bowen and Fornals on the wings and Antonio up front. Now if you look at City, they set up in their 4-3-3 formation, with a defence of Ederson in goal, Zinchenko at left back, Laporte and a makeshift centre back with Fernandinho as their centre back partnership, and João Cancelo at right back. In the midfield they had Rodri as their defensive midfielder, and in front of him was Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, and their front three was of course Mahrez, Grealish and Gabriel Jesus. I personally feel that West Ham will set up in the exact same formation as this game for the opening game against City, providing of course we have the team we have right now, and at present we have just brought in Scamacca, so no left wing back has been brought in yet. Let's talk about how I think Moyes will set up in this game. As I just said, I think we will stick with a 4-2-3-1 formation that we relied on heavily last season. I think he will look to catch City on the counter-attack just like he did so excellently in our previous encounter. In goal I think he will give Areola the nod over veteran Fabianski. I think we can all agree that Areola is most likely to be our number 1 this season. In the defence where it becomes a bit more interesting due to certain injuries and other negatives. At left back I think we will play Ben Johnson, purely due to Cresswell regressing quite a lot recently and not having the much needed pace to play against quality wingers. Although Ben Johnson is not the best going forward, in a game where we are going to have to be defending for the majority of the game, I think Ben Johnson will be perfect, especially due to the pace advantage he would have over Cresswell when playing up against Mahrez. The centre-back partnership now has also been affected due to the injury to Nayef Aguerd. I think Zuma is nailed on to start, being pushed over to the left centre-back side, and his partner will be Craig Dawson, providing he's fit of course. In a game where West Ham will likely utilise a low block, Craig Dawson's lack of pace will not be an issue. His aerial ability and blocks in and around the penalty box will be a key importance to keeping City out. At right back, Kufal will of course be starting, a player who has really impressed me in pre-season. He would hope to have a better game against City than the last time he met them, when Grealish had him on toast in the second half, but after having the summer off and fully recovering from his injury, I think he'll be just fine. A midfield pivot of Declan Rice and Thomas Soucek is also pretty much nailed on to start, with Soucek also impressing in pre-season, hoping to find some of his form he had back in the first season he had with us. Although this will most likely lead to having to hold Declan Rice back from bobbing on, it will be the best for the team as a whole if Deck sat and Thomas pushed on. As in a game against a very ball dominant side like City, Thomas Soucek won't be needed much passing ability, as it is more than likely we won't average a very high percentage rate. Moving on to the number 10 position now, I think Fornals will be deployed through the centre rather than the left. This will provide West Ham with a bit more energy in the midfield, as he'll be tracking back a lot when out of possession and looking to cut off City's passing lanes in the middle of the pitch. On the right of course will be Jarrod Bowen, a player that absolutely terrorised City in the last game we played against them, scoring 2 goals and should have even added a third. I think we all know what we're going to get with Jarrod by now, so I'll swiftly move on to the left wing position. This position was a difficult one for me, as I'm only picking players we currently have, not ones we're being linked with. Although we potentially don't have many options out there, I think he will go with Emrama. I for one have not been impressed at all with Benny during pre-season, so I'd like to think we would have a new winger in before the start of the season to take his place. I also really wouldn't put it past David Moyes to play Masuaku out in the left wing position, to give a bit more defensive cover against a really attacking side. Now moving on to the striker position, a lot of people are going to be expecting Scamacca, but I don't think this is the game for him. I think David Moyes sticks with Mikel Antonio. Antonio did really well against them last season, providing a lot of threat on the counter, and in a game where we're going to be looking to counter-attack, a 6'5" Scamacca probably isn't the best option if we want to transition quickly into attack, especially as Bowen most likely isn't going to be central, he will be covering the attacking fullbacks of City. I would however bring Scamacca on for the last 20-25 minutes regardless of the score and replace Antonio, just to give a different dynamic and see how he does. Although I think Antonio is the best option for counter-attacking, that doesn't mean I think he would be the best striker for every game. With Moyes increasing his possession percentage every season, it's obvious against lower rated and evenly matched sides he will look to dominate a bit more possession and take control of the game. And this is where Scamacca hopefully will come into his own. Now I've spoken about how I think David Moyes would set up, let's talk about how I would set up. I would go with a 3-4-3 formation. I think this formation is perfect against City, as their midfielders are going to be looking to get within the half space and latch on near our centre backs, so the more centre backs the better. We also know how the wingers like to stay out wide and provide width for the attack, so having wing backs will already give our side more width. When their fullbacks invert and come into the midfield, the two inside forwards of West Ham can then tuck in more centrally and look to stop them from getting on the ball. So in goal I would go with Areola. The three centre backs would be Craig Dawson in the centre, Zuma out to the right of him, and Creswell as the left sided centre back due to his ball progressing abilities. At right wing back I would go with Kufal. He keeps the width well and also attacks down the wing well. At left wing back I would go with a controversial opinion and play Pablo Fornals there. This is essentially so when we're in possession of the ball, it allows him to tuck in to provide more support within the midfield and allow Creswell to push up slightly higher to cross from deep. The two central midfielders of course would be Declan Rice and Thomas Souček, and then on the right we would have Jarrod Bowen playing as a more inside forward, so more centrally essentially. And on the left inside forward position I would have Mikel Antonio. Now I don't think he would work as a winger in a back four, but within a back five he could play more centrally and then when in attack pull out wide and isolate either the fullback or the right sided centre back. This would then leave the striker position for the new signing Gianluca Scamacca, who would benefit off having two forwards and Antonio and Bowen close to him. Well guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments how you would set up against City, and of course don't forget to like the video and subscribe. See you in the next one.
It's like a family tree, part of you and part of me. And if we should separate